This is the moment that 26-year-old Chinese national Apple engineer Ting soared along a Washington freeway in Bellevue, USA at around 4:10 a.m. on September the 6th, 2023, at an extreme and reckless speed of 94 miles per hour on a 35. In the passenger seat sat Ting's friend, also from China, Yaboa Liu, 27 years old. Yaboa was killed on impact, probably as Ting's car struck the concrete wall after skidding sideways for at least 300 feet. The Porsche was left completely wrecked. I can only imagine the pure terror that Yaboa felt as his thoughtless and impetuous so-called friend decided to fly through the streets like she was on Fast and Furious. But, unfortunately, unlike the actors, Yaboa would not be going home to his family. Ting had only purchased the sports car earlier that month, in September. Some people just have more money than common sense, but she was clearly intelligent. She had attended a prestigious university to land her job as an engineer for the world-famous company Apple. I have a feeling alcohol was a big factor in Ting Yi's reckless actions that night, as responding officers reported a strong odour of alcohol coming from her. Yet nowhere have I seen or heard that her alcohol level was ever tested, not even via a blood test at the hospital she was transported to after being removed from the mangled wreckage. Ting was taken to Harborview Medical Centre with minor injuries, apparently. But reports also showed that officers were told Ting's injuries would mean she would need to spend longer time there in their care and would not be released anytime soon. Anyone smell a contradiction in the air? So remember, the awful crash happened on the 30th of September. It's now the 6th of October and Ting Yi has managed to leave the hospital without any of law enforcement even being informed. But if you ask me, she should have never been given the opportunity to do so. She should have been under watch like anyone else would have been in that position. Before leaving the hospital, Ting had actually managed to exchange a large amount of US dollars into RMB, which is Chinese currency. I think you smell what's coming now. An escape. She then left Bellevue Medical Centre in a taxi. It's now the 9th of October and Ting Yi has evaded law enforcement for the last 3 days. Is this woman invincible or what? Not only has she escaped from one of the craziest crashes I've seen with apparent minor injuries, whilst her friend was left dead on impact, but she also was allowed to be left unsupervised to plan her escape and has already been free for 3 days now. So it's the 9th of October and Ting contacts a friend who foolishly agrees to drive her to Vancouver, Canada and across the border. Her friend could be criminally charged for assisting Yi with the gutless escape and evasion. And on the morning of the 10th of October, the invincible Ting boarded a plane and flew back to China, all while she should have been in police custody for the shameful death of her friend. I'm telling you, this woman has some sort of justice force field around her, as in, I'm never facing any. It is complete madness that the lack of police attention has now resulted in her evasion to China. The US court had actually issued an arrest warrant for Ting Yi on the 9th of October, but before it took effect, apparently, she had already left the US soil. That should have been taken care of instantly, and none of this would have happened. Her bail was set at a staggering $2 million, so it was clearly a serious crime. But that means nothing, as this cowardly, spineless human had already crossed the border from Canada to China. And if you are not aware, unfortunately, China does not have an extradition order with the US, not with its own nationals anyway. Meaning Beijing is not obligated to force Ting to return to America and face justice. How crazy is that? I mean, I believe Ting Yi did not set out that night with the intention of killing her friend, but the truth is, she did. And even if she had set out to murder her friend that night, say with a gun, and purposely killed him, and then still managed to evade police and flee the country, the same rules apply. That is absolute madness to me. It's like China really doesn't care how many murderers walk their streets. But enough said on that for now. The other absolute madness is how the police believed that this drunk driver who pretty much murdered her friend whilst travelling at a crazy 94 miles per hour and faced a hefty sentence, and was also uncooperative with them, was not a flight risk, or even in need of an officer to watch over her and make sure she faced justice for her reckless actions that night that left her friend dead. Considering she was actually from a country with no extradition law, I would say she was certainly a flight risk. Ting actually went on to pretend to cover up to Yaboa's family and friends that anything bad had even happened to him. Probably feeling unconquerable at this point, she thought she would get away with anyone ever knowing the awful truth. Like this dude didn't even deserve a burial. What kind of human is she? But the internet is a fine thing at times in showing the world the truth and hopefully hunting down this heartless human who went by Ting Yi or Jennifer Yi or even Jenny Y. But who knows what she's going by now. This dastardly woman needs to be found. At first, it could have been explained as an awful accident, but fleeing and leaving her friend dead and alone in a different country, she needs to face justice for this. If you ever see Jennifer Ting Yi anywhere, or even believe you may have outside of China, contact US authorities immediately. I'm really not sure which ones, so any. If Ting was to travel to another country that does have an extradition treaty with the US, then she will be flagged up by Interpol and could face extradition back to the US and finally answer to her spineless actions. But something tells me this educated Apple engineer will not be that dumb or benevolent and hand herself in. Ting Yi continues to be invincible, and that is not okay. Yaboa's family deserve answers and justice. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and true crime in general, check out my other videos. Drop me a comment and subscribe for more. Random Jen.